This access modifiers in C#. Object is a basic building block of any programming language that supports object-oriented programming. Classes are the instantiated into objects. The building blocks include data types and data member functions and methods. For a class, and the scope of these data types and member functions are decided by the access specifiers. These access modifiers or specifiers are the keywords that define the accessibility of a member, class, or data type in the program. They are mainly used to restrict the unwanted data manipulations by external programs or classes. There are 4 access modifiers: public, protected, internal, and private, which defines the 6 accessibility levels as follows: public, protected, internal, and private. Now let us have a brief overview of what these access specifiers do. The public, the code is accessible for all the classes. All the classes that is available to a particular project can access their respective data members and member function with the help of the public access specifier mode. Now with the private, only the data members and member function within a class, its accessibility limits are restricted from the data member to member functions within a class and not external to any other classes. So in case of protected, the code is accessible within the same class and also to this inherited class member, that is from parent to the child classes, and no other classes external to the project. So internal is generally not dealt in this section. So let us have a brief overview of how this public, protected, and private is used by means of a simple C# codes. So this is a public example. Here we have got a method name called public int calculate area. See, this int calculate area is actually a function with the keyword called public. When it attached with the public, it becomes a method. And since it's an method is always to an external class shape, not to the main class program. So that is the basic difference between being a function and a method. And there is another method name called public int calculate volume that calculates the volume of a cube, that's length width into height, and this is the calculate area, which is width into height. So it could be for a rectangle. So now this is the case that happens. Now in case if you are using the same by making use of the inheritance process, then we have to use the protected for each of these fields, length, width, and height. Otherwise public would have been enough. So this is an example of a public example. Now let us take the case how private could be utilized. So here the protected is the one that it's similar to the one that I have discussed previously, except that width and height will be accessible only to the class shape, and it's accessible and it's to its childs. So here the set width and set height are just acting like initializers for the width and height. They are just method names for initializing width and height. Now since it is width and height are in the protected mode, only the child classes that is inheriting shape can access it. So in this case, in that case, we could have taken any other child class called rectangle or cuboid, anything like that. Now let us take the case of example of a private example. So private, we have got 2 fields, length and width. So here the main intention of private is that it's accessible only to rectangle and no other childs external to the rectangle class. That means this length and width, this private double length and private double width are accessible only to the rectangle class and no other class external to the project. So we can say that, and this describes the concepts of abstraction and encapsulation. Since this length and width is hidden away from the external world, so this particular process is nothing but an abstraction process. And the way very privately we send the length and width to the main calling method of the main program. So it goes in a confidential manner, not allowing the external world to know any information of how the length and width is reaching from which class to the main method. So here that particular process is nothing but encapsulation. It goes in the form of encapsulated hidden form. So that this process of sending the data members and meta members in an encapsulated manner, hiding its details from the external world, is known as the encapsulation process. So here it is done by the method name called access details. This access details helps to absorb the length and width with the help of the consolidated line, and get area sends this length and width in an encapsulated manner to the main method. So this is the simplest case of example of how this A public, protected, and private access specifiers have been used in case of a C#.